Leibow. Yay! Chris is here. I'm really excited to have Chris here. Chris is an old friend and great performer, great supporter of the arts, and provocateur, all sorts of different things. So we're really excited to have him here. Chris is a poet, visual artist, performer of sleights of hand. He's an MFA graduate of Antioch and has been published in numerous journals, including Sugarhouse Review, Nano Fiction, Otis Nebula, and Likewise Folio. His art has appeared in Lumina, 491 magazine, and has been a featured artist. He's been a featured artist online with Cha, a journal of Asian writing, and OFZOOs? OFZOOs? Yeah. That's two-time Pushcart Award nominee and a Utah Book Award nominee, and the winner of the Writers at Work Writers Advocate Award in 2008. He currently lives here in Salt Lake City, and I love this, with his girl, their dog Penelope, the Perpetual Wonderpup, and her cat sidekick, Count Orly. Yeah. Welcome, Christopher Leibow.
We should have brought Penelope. Yeah, thanks. Sure. She's a good dog. She's a superhero. Okay, so I'm gonna probably not. Can you guys hear me okay? My voice okay? Is okay with the camera? Whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna share some poems. I got a few brand new ones that have never been read before, and I have some older ones. And I'm primarily a love poet. I'm unabashedly a love poet. And one of the interesting things when you go to an MFA program, they go, "You're a what? Really? Yeah, no, we did that when we were 14. And we tell them, well, yeah, when I was 14, I smoked marijuana, now I do cocaine. Just kidding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read some non-love poems, and then I'm going to read some love poems. Okay? Come on, love's great.
Yay, woo!
Awesome.
Woo, woo!
So, the dead are always astonished. The dead are always astonished by the dying itself. How it comes on subtle, like the scent of rain before the first drops that fall unnoticed, except for the small circles on the pavement. And they're surprised by the weight of it all. A thing never considered in the morning hours just before, and how it's lighter than air. Not what was expected at all, with an overwhelming ache to laugh. How strange now the living are to the dead, with all their longing and their weight. So the dead avoid the living and gather in large open spaces with all the other dead, and they dance elaborate dances and laugh, or lounge in trees, taking time to read the books they wanted to, or write letters they should have long ago. And the dead are astonished by everything around them, and the dead are constantly in awe. Maybe that's why the dead never attend their own funerals, but look on, sending their love from a distance, as if afraid of catching something like a cold or something far worse. Unbelievably blue. All my sighs are recorded by old dusty bureaucrats that live in my apartment. And then they shove them into exhausted file cabinets at the head office, while the most egregious of my sighs are stuffed into diplomatic bags and flown east because of a certain protocol. Now my sighs are so far from me, and they fall asleep without their sire, under the sound of so many church bells in a city with a faint scent like dim light and lemons. Now they live by themselves entire lives, and their periodic heavy breathing disturbs their neighbors, reminding them so much of their own tragedies akin to love, that it makes the light on the wet street feel ankle deep and unbelievably blue. This one's called The Coffin Maker. And I wrote this because there are millions and millions and millions of dead birds. And how many dead birds do you actually see in your lifetime? A few, okay? So I was like, well, what happens to all the dead birds? Where did they go? So I wrote a poem about it. And the funny thing is, since I wrote this poem, I've seen about 50 dead birds. So it's kind of like homage to my poem or something. The coffin maker. He makes coffins for birds, reads operas, searches the sky for the initial fall. He follows goats up impossible inclines. At the summit, he fills the tiny spaces with stolen sky, binds them with lacquer and small nails to the sides of tiny boxes. He walks derelict parks with nets, the hollowed out bodies of birds, freed from the weight of the soul, begin to ascend. He ties brass weights around legs and gathers a reaping of flight. In his room, the birds float like feathered balloons. He takes each body, washes it gently with holy water stolen from winged cisterns, wraps them in blue shrouds with fragmented clouds stitched to cloth, lays the body in the small coffin and tiny sky. He then seals each lid with wax, collects 3 coffins, walks the flight of stairs. On the roof, he ties the coffins down. They, the small coffins, knock in the wind like wood dirigibles. He wears a prayer shawl and hums Mahler's 9th, the symphony to the resurrection. Each coffin is then set free, floating like a feather on the thermal, higher, higher. Then like Icarus, the wax melts. Heaven receives the body. The earth, the shattered box of sky. Okay, now for the love poems. And pretty much 98% of these poems are for Linnea. My sweet one, my bright one. Say that I am welcome, that I have gone mad. Say that I am welcome, that I have gone mad. That sadness is a country finally conquered by the fragrance of flowers. That the dawn runs in circles in my heart like a tiger and will leap from my hands to grasp her waist one more time. Say that the history I ransom with salt and time is mine and mine alone. That is good to be spent and to blaze like a match. And say to her in my bed that my name is the only name that matters. That the sea will find her wandering in the desert, and that the falling stars she gathers will be a gift for her daughter's hair. And tell her that my heart was born in her gaze, that it is good to set the caged birds free. Say that we have bound our wounds with light, that we are good, that we are free, that we have paid our debts, and that our entwined bodies have become luminous. Rising from the dead. We are looking for a place to sleep. We are looking for a place to lay our bodies. We are standing in the rain, waiting for a train. We are so very late for the resurrection. And I daydream you asleep on the ship, but you're right next to me, and my arms ache for you. And then the sun rises from our bed and rubs the sleep from her eyes and tells us to make love again, and we do. And we are no longer tired. We are raised up from the once dead. And now we are both on the ship that I daydreamt, sailing back across the river Lethe, coming home, as it was once written in a letter you sent me, that finally arrived. How I love you. How I love you and your 47 moods, like all the different words for love. How I love you tangled in the lengthening day, or raging with life into the void, with your head in the sand because there is too much night to bear. I love you and how with your heart and hand you dance in circles just to make the moon laugh or to make me smile. And I love you most on Mondays, but we both know that's not true because I love you more on Tuesdays and even on the odd assorted Wednesdays that I notice than I ever could on a Monday. And what of Thursday or Friday? And there is no one who can comprehend how much I love you on the weekend where I love you in the tangle of our sheets, sleeping away the day like we were the richest lovers in the world, with 1,000,000 days to spend doing nothing but love. Let's just say for now that I love you mostly in the quiet spaces between breaths. That space where I see you as you, and you see me as me, and where we start to spin in circles, mad like dervishes, one hand to heaven, the other pointing to the earth, our bodies bringing heaven and earth together. Or let's just say, I love you solely and without effort, in the quiet of our sleeping under a full, laughing moon. And I think it's time to read some brand new ones. And these never been read before. I just wrote them. I hope they're good. They're good. This one is an ekphrasis poem, a poem based on a painting. And the painting is from Marc Chagall, Lovers in a Red Sky. We have two lovers floating away. And it has an epigraph. Only love interests me, and I'm only in contact with things that revolve around love. Marc Chagall. And when they discover what we have done, what will they think of us? Will they know how much you love me, how your hand thrust itself into the tangled heap of my heart and pulled out a wreck of gulls and set them free? Or how you blew out each street lamp for me, like the 100 flickering candles that have kept me awake for years, and just so I could sleep through one bright night in the safe darkness of your heart? What will they know about us? The moon and her procession of attendant stars. Will they know how much I love you? And will the moon ask for her stars back, the ones I stole and wove into your hair just last night? Well, you dreamt of chasing the same stars back to earth, those falling stars, like the bright flash of a wish that once upon a time, little girl you used to be, dreamed of a love all your own. We shouldn't worry, love. More than not, they will give no heed. But what if? What if our loving makes us lighter than air, and in the red setting sun, we simply start to float above it all? Above all the men in their fine hats and all the women in their complicated dresses, absent-mindedly twirling their parasols over their shoulders, and their serious eyes fixed to the ground as if they were reading the lines from a sentencing. And then over freshly planted fields, over hamlets. And of those who notice, some will call it madness, others will look down embarrassed and shuffle their feet in the dust. But you can see over there, that young man on the roof with his sketch pad, that one reading the verses of changing light. He will record it all in palettes of red. Sleeping apart. Last night I tried to call out to you, but your name got caught in my rib cage like a bird keeping awake with its constant flapping. So I reached out and I asked the full moon to be fuller still, with pressing telegrams in each beam to reach out and touch your pale cheek, like the brush of two lips while untangling arms and legs in the middle of the night, half asleep and still saying, I love yous. So I roll over to where your body was last night and press myself there into the bed and kiss the pillow that smells of your hair and fall asleep with your name. I do not know. I've slept with you all these nights, entwined bone and blood, and still I do not know your body. And each time we touch, I discover its breath and its silences, its fault lines and scars, or where its bees and honey hide. Again and again, I find your body each night, and if you ask me to draw a map, I would need to draw it with light against the night where I know you best. And yet I would fail still, because I do not know your body, and I am patient while I discover each stone and each shadow, each avenue, and that hidden playground of your heart where angels play dominoes and perfect their flying. And I do not know your body, except only partially, and what it shows me beneath our touching. Love. Love arrives at my door with a knock and a revolver. How much do you love me? She asks. I stutter, and she soaks me in her sweat. I feel rejuvenated. And love pushes me down and buries me under leaves and flowers, and I say, I love you this much, and die peacefully, while the bloody stumps of my once wings twitch slightly as we go off in a boat, where love is captain and I am crew. She now has a shiny hook for a hand and gestures me over. She asks, how do you love me? With perfect concentration, I unscrew her hook and tie the string of night to the knot hook end and swing it up, catching the open-mouthed moon with a quick tug and bring it down for her. We lay together on the water, watch the boat go down, smaller and smaller it gets. And love and I float there. We float for a lifetime or two, watching satellites wink us as they fly by. I ask her, love, how much do you love me? So much, she says. That's all I say? So much, she says. But how? How do you love me? She smiles and reaches for the light switch on the other side of the sun, and click, she curls up next to me in the darkest of dark and the lightless of black. She spoons me so close with her good hand on my heart, this much, and whispers, this is how. Okay, two more. And I'm going to read one of my Balthazar pieces. And the poem that brought the gift of my lover to me, her subtle lean left. Her subtle lean left accentuates the curve of her waist, reminds me of the street in Rome where I fell in love with time that moves so slowly. The movement in the song she plays for me moves towards me. The air is a scented moment of bed, lilacs, leather, wood, sex, and soil. where memories are instantaneous. Everything is memory. Everything has taken place. I am in the middle of a matinee that I have never seen before, but remember so fondly. I easily could have been anywhere else. So Balthazar, they're prose poems, sudden fiction, kind of cross-genre. And been working on them for a while. Been published recently in Sugarhouse Review and Nano Fiction. Sometimes Balthazar wonders if he's slowly disappearing, if he's becoming transparent to all those around him. It's as if people don't see him. The skinny postman who always says hello will walk right past Balthazar like Balthazar is nothing more than a puff of air. Or how he'll go over to Marge's house and knock on the door and no one comes, even though he can hear them talking. Or when his father, sitting at the kitchen table, will be looking him straight in the face and has no idea that he's even there. Or even the neighbor's dog, who always runs to the fence in a fast fury of teeth and spit whenever he sees Balthazar, simply stays stretched out on falling apart porch. Someday he worries so much that he might end up permanently transparent, and even with its obvious advantages for a 9-year-old boy, he only feels a sense of dread. He wonders to himself if that's what happened to his mother. Maybe she's still around. Maybe she's right here, now, just invisible. And for a moment, Balthazar gets excited, but it passes. No, I feel her here like I feel the Shadow Man. Maybe it's some strange thing that runs in the family. Maybe that's why there are no pictures in the house of his mother's family, not even Grandpa Easy. Balthazar could just imagine family pictures with the characters fading out as the years go by. A picnic with Uncle Maximus last summer, then Uncle Maximus with Barry at spring training, now looking more like a mirage than a barrel-chested Georgian. And finally, a family picture last Thanksgiving, and Uncle Maximus, there is still a debate whether he was even there, with his arm around my shoulder, now nothing more than a blur, a smudge of light.